to talk about volcanoes, and as you can tell by our surroundings, we're gonna do this in a very grown-up way. Professionals always wear hats. Now you probably have some very reasonable questions, like, what's a volcano? Because you probably don't know what a volcano is. I know, I'm using big words here, I'm sorry. I should probably get on to the definition now. It's basically an opening in the earth through which a bunch of stuff like magma, gases, and all this stuff can get out. Which is basically science language for it goes boom. I'm gonna assume you probably did know what volcano actually meant, considering it's a volcano, but you know, you gotta be prepared, man. I'm gonna try and explain how volcanoes occur, which could be interesting, considering quite bad with words. But yeah. Volcanoes occur because the Earth is covered in many different plates. You've got all your plates, they're just basically sections of the world that slide along on top of the mantle. And you've got like 16 major plates. And what happens is most volcanoes occur where the plates meet. So basically what happens is the plates kind of meet and one plate just goes underneath the other because they have to push together like, yeah, so they can't meet there, they have to go like that. Yeah, one goes underneath the other one. And it gets quite deep into the mantle, so, you know, the heat causes some of the rock in the overlying plate to cool down and form magma, and which the magma will try and get up and erupt out of the Earth's surface. On a lighter note, my hamster is being really funny right now. On the subject of eruption, that happens because magma is lighter than solid rock, and so it goes up and it collects in like magma chambers. So then magma goes and decides to push itself up through the vents and the fissures and the stuff in Earth's surface, and voila, it's an eruption. That's what happened. It just takes a while and then it just comes out like that. Bam, bam. It doesn't have to be explosive. They're not all explosive. Not all volcanoes are explosive, okay? And also, once it erupts, magma is called lava. What am I, Bill Nye the Science Guy? And now we're going to talk about the status of volcanoes, which is basically all about how likely it is the volcano will erupt. You've pretty much got 4 basic states for a volcano to be in. And the first one, I'd say, the most dangerous one would be erupting. If a volcano is erupting, get out. Active volcanoes have had at least 1 eruption in the last 10,000 years. A dormant volcano is an active volcano that is not erupting, but it's supposed to erupt again. A volcano can be considered extinct once it's not erupted in 10,000 years, and it's not expected to erupt again. Arthur C. Edinburgh was formed by an extinct volcanic system. It's just basically a hill now, but I thought I had to include that because it's local. I knew a lot more about volcanoes when I was 5. As you might have gathered, it's pretty dangerous when a volcano erupts, if I'm completely honest. I mean, speaking, well, not from personal experience, but there's kind of a lot of evidence to back me up here, if you think about it. Because I think my best point would be that humans are quite easily killed by lava, which there's quite a lot of sometimes in the case of volcanic eruption. So basically, you'll get burned by lava, if you're caught in a big volcanic eruption, which is a bit not good. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's not just humans that gets burned in lava. I'm pretty sure pretty much every species can be burned in lava. Hang on a second. Let me just double check that. Yeah. Many very valuable and trustworthy sources, such as Yahoo Answers, have verified that animals don't have a magical resistance to lava, so okay. Don't leave your animals in a volcanic eruption. Now here's the part where I go all survival on you. I'd say that step one of not dying in volcanic eruption would be to not live near a volcano, but if that's unavoidable, just leave your area when there's some kind of volcano warning. They say there's probably going to be an eruption in your area. Well, then you say, okay, I'll leave until the eruption's done, because that's kind of really important. If you really can't be bothered to get out, and just stay in your area, which is not advisable, but you know, you do what you do. The first thing I would say that you should probably do is get to high ground. Because, let me just tell you something, lava can't jump, and high ground is statistically less likely to be covered in. And when I say high ground, I don't mean go onto the erupting volcano. A nearby hill will probably be quite nice. There's another big danger about volcanoes, which is rocks and debris flying from the volcano. I think the posh word for that is pyroclastics. But really all you need to know is that you don't want to be hit by them. So my best advice for avoiding pyroclastics is to get out of their range or hide behind a hill or something if that's impossible. And there's another thing you gotta worry about. You gotta worry about all things. Which is the fact that volcanoes let out poisonous gases. You don't want to breathe them. So if you don't have like a mask or something, breathe through like a damp cloth. That would probably help a bit. You know, as a general rule, being in a house is quite safe when compared to not being in a house, so if possible, it would be quite nice if you could be in a house. Get medical attention very quickly if you're injured, because that's not good. You don't want to be injured. Just as a side note, there's a thing called a supervolcano, which is basically like a normal volcano, except its ejecta is like more than 1,000 kilometers. In simple terms, ejecta is basically all the stuff that comes out the volcano. And if that ejecta has a range of over 1,000 kilometers, it's classed as a supervolcano. And now I get to talk about Pompeii, which is brilliant solely because there was a Doctor Who episode set around the fires of Pompeii and the eruption in Pompeii, all that. For those of you who don't know, Pompeii was a Roman town city that in AD 79 was completely demolished by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. We all know volcanic eruption stories are pretty cool. Debris, like, completely buried it. It was kind of the most epic fail you could ever. So basically Mount Vesuvius just like completely blew up with molten ash and poisonous gases and just like so basically the inhabitants were just so dead because there was like a million different reasons they would be, and they didn't know it was coming. And Romans, cool civilization that they were, they was like, oh, it's the wrath of the gods, okay. Which is not entirely scientifically accurate, but whatever, you know. I think the icing on the cake is that they didn't know Vesuvius was a volcano, and the Romans don't even have a Latin word for volcano at this time. So it was just like fire mountain, just randomly destroying some people fantastic. There were like signs that the volcano was going to erupt, like the earth shaking a bit and stuff, but the people of Pompeii had no idea what that meant, so they just thought, whatever, you know, the ground is shaking. The thing hadn't erupted for like 1800 years beforehand, and the eruption lasted for almost 24 hours, and, you know, that's not really a good situation for you to be in, being in towns like that. The interesting thing, though, is that there was no lava in the eruption, which is kind of unusual. I think this calls for a dramatic reconstruction. Linguam Latinam naro, terram est tremor, ut fatum quod sic. Lebemus et partis, sus forsit nihil. Nesimus quid terpes volcanus. The Romans spoke Latin! So to sum up, volcanoes, well, they're kind of cool, are very dangerous, and it's probably not a good idea to go near one. They erupt because of scientific things that I really don't think I can word again. And lava was not present in Pompeii. This education has come to you in video format because I'm too scared to say it in person. But I hope I did okay. Best wishes!